Alright guys, so I have returned and here we are with, this is one of my sketchbooks from high school. It's a little beaten up. You see it's got my name on the sides and whatnot, but it's just an average old thing. You can see it's from 2019, 2020. So I would draw different hands and eyes and stuff. A whole bunch of different stuff. Again, you know, it's always just a general sketchbook where I'm just learning how to draw anatomy, how to do character design. And as you can see, there's always going to be just a little bit of junket stuff mixed in there. Currently there's a whole bunch of junket stuff that I've made from high school. I would say that when I focused primarily in high school, the artwork itself, the harder I tried on every single page, the more I would learn, whether it was inking or shading with pencil and graphite. So as you can see here, we have Oscar and all that. And these character designs, they haven't really differed too greatly from the final product. As you can see here, it is still somewhat the same. It is almost identical to the original vision and idea that I had in mind. So, you know, as we're moving along, I'm going to just show you guys a couple things. These are characters that never really stuck around, or at least I haven't integrated them yet. Again, this is that Larry the Fox character, which has now turned into Finnegan. But as you can see, I was experimenting with very minimal backgrounds, different forms of shading and stuff, different techniques. You can see here I was dabbling with black ink and watercolor. Again, that is probably identical to the version of the character design. This is back from 2018, so I mean, definitely, as you can see, this is a story I've been working on since at least 2014, 2015. Here we get to see some of the character designs. Let me show that a little better. You can see this is also from 2018. It's always good if you're going into character design or any sort of like dynamic animation or any of that stuff. Forget about AI, forget about competition, just focus on really good drawing, right? Because ultimately, if you don't entertain others, you're at least going to entertain yourself while you learn. And here you can see the front facing, side facing, and back. It's always good to have a three-dimensional version of your character in mind, because how else are you going to translate that? You're going to have to draw them from every angle, whether it's animation, painting, or comics especially. So it's always good to have a 3/4 view, you know, mid-ground, background, how they look from far away, from up close, all that stuff. So it's always good to integrate that into your designs and see really how it is fully formed. Here we get some more character studies of this early ugly version of Finnegan. I wanted it to be a parody of Mickey Mouse, kind of like a grumpier, you know, real life. Like if Mickey Mouse were to come into our world, how would that translate and how would he feel and how, you know, it would go down. But most people thought it was like a furry, and I was like, man, that's really the opposite of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do like a Rigby from Regular Show, or probably a better example is Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So obviously I removed this character design and I ended up re-adapting it more Disney-fied and more into a proper cartoon. Here we get one of my favorite images of all junket. This is an image that I absolutely adore. We get early versions of all the characters, right? Again, 2018. So we get the groundskeeper with the cross on his eye. We get, you know, Finnegan Fox. We get Light and the Fallen Angel. This is an early version of Applejohn. So before I made him into the Last Druid or a kind of cartoon buddy, he was supposed to be like a Dragon Ball sort of antagonist. It was supposed to be like a parody, because all of the characters in Dragon Ball, I think they're all based off of carrots and vegetables and things. And I thought it'd be funny, what if I just make an alien race out of fruits? So Applejohn comes from the planet Apollonia or something like that, and you know, it's basically just a parody of Dragon Ball. Again, I ended up reusing and readapting the character to better fit my story and setting. So every idea you have, even if it's not fully formed, you have every right to continue to build upon it, to keep reworking it, retrying, and really just trying to get a good grip of what it is the aesthetic is, and whatever imagery jumps to mind. For example, Junket eventually became a fantasy action adventure, right? So this is issue 2 here. Eventually became about an enchanted forest and magical things, So I integrated more elements like fairy tales and more mythology, theology, action, adventure, witches, goblins, monsters, right? Different worlds and stuff. So I integrated more of that and less of the science fiction elements that I had, like robots and things. It didn't fit the mold, right? So I ended up, again, it's just about reinterpreting the things that you have. It's always better to never just throw out ideas completely, but see how you could build upon them, rework them, restructure them. Like, think about all the Batman characters, all of the, all the DC and Marvel characters that have been, again, they keep regurgitating new waves of content, new eras of the same characters, the same story. You can do that with your own work. It doesn't have to be mainstream. It doesn't have to be Batman or Spider-Man. But you can completely almost start from scratch. Use what you have, keep working at it, and with time, it'll grow into something that makes more sense, right? Over time, for example, this is the character. I changed him a lot. This is Badger, right? And he eventually becomes the alter ego for Captain Cadaver, right? So basically the same concept, the same similar designs and everything is here. However, I kept leaning into the aesthetic of fantasy, almost like a medieval fantasy, right? You can see everyone's holding swords, there's no guns or anything. So I kept leaning into that instead of running away from it, instead of deviating from it. And I think that when you think action, adventure, fantasy, imagine forests, imagine swords, imagine skulls, dragons. So instead of shying away from that, lean into the aesthetic, go as far into that and just soak your imagery with that as much as possible, because it really broadens the world and it makes it feel more realized. Here we see an early version of Dalton, the Last Crusader. And honestly, this is basically the characters. Originally, no one had costumes. They weren't known as the combatants. It was like a made-up thing, J-Fi. They all had the tattoo or whatever. But again, never give up on these ideas, because you just have to let them grow and mature over time, right? Because remember, if I let it stay as it was when I was in middle school, it would have never evolved and become as awesome at it as it has. As you can see, I've always loved giants and cyclops and stuff. So here, again, the stories changed drastically, and this character might still appear in the comics. You can see my art style deviated. I used to only do 4 fingers like cartoons, but since my style is slightly more realistic, I ended up eventually doing 5 fingers for all my characters. So Jonah, Curse of the Phoenix. So this character here is basically a mix of my younger self, but it's also supposed to be in canon for old Junket. It's in canon for Oscar's son, who eventually, again, there used to be mythology mixed into this world. So it was literally a story of mythology of Prometheus and the curse of Prometheus, the curse of the Phoenix that was passed down through bloodlines and whatever. I ended up thinking that was too corny. I was definitely influenced by anime and stuff at the time, so I think that made it feel like it was cool and all that, but I realized there's a lot better things to do. I don't want to just make another pink-haired fire character, because that's already super popular as well. There's also the Human Torch as well to think of. So again, I don't know what I'm going to do with this character. Like I've stated, the concept's here, the character design's already owned by you. Eventually, I'll just build upon it, reintegrate it somehow into the story, even if it's only a small Easter egg. It doesn't have to be a fully formed idea. This is all of the work before you even go to the actual printed page. Like, remember, this is at least all the books that I've done. I was able to crank them all out in less than a year, and that's not by mistake, I was able to do all of this because I already had all of the work done for me. I already did all of the planning, all of the concepts, all of the ideas were here. This is the initial place where the ideas grow. This is where they have to kind of bloom and become what you want them to be. So let's see here. Here we get another thing that I've only ever teased. I've only teased these concepts, right? Little teasers and little Easter eggs in the mainline comics. So this is a character named Nadirk, which is just Cridian backwards. And it's the episode Evil Seed, right? Based off one of the early He-Man episodes, but it's basically a seedling, right? And it's these characters that are almost like a clone, right? Because the Enchanted Garden has this thing where if you drop a single drop of human blood, it'll grow into a clone of yourself, just like how Adam's rib became Eve. So, I tried to lean into that a little bit and came up with these characters. So I was like, what if they were evil? What if they was like vindictive and hated, that humans who kept integrating themselves into the forest? Like, what if the forest fought back? So I thought that was a cool concept. This I'm definitely going to use in future books, and I've already started kind of like literally planting the seed and into the back of these books. So you can see here, there's all the main story, and then all the way towards the end, right? Even after the extra story, here we get to see a teaser, right? The rise of the seedlings. So it's already being set up. The blood on the ground is going to bloom into a flower. So, and then it's going to become one of these guys. Here we get to see more of this Jonah character. And this villain that I've also been teasing throughout the entire series named King. He's basically like my Galactus. He's basically like my massive threat to the world. And it's more leaning into the science fiction a little bit, but I want to incorporate it in such a way that it seems or feels natural, like mythology or stuff like that. It's a very simple horned demon thing. I'm not exactly sure about its origin yet, but again, the design's here, the elements are here. I tease it in slight imagery and stuff like that, especially in the Halloween book, which is a fan favorite. People love this cover. And honestly, when I went to sell it at a university near me, people loved it. So as you can see here, so the statue of Orenthius, the false god, right? Worshipped originally by Solomon and his wives. I made this character up based off of this horned demon thing. I thought, why not kind of make it like that Bohemian Grove owl statue of Moloch, right? Which is also a biblical demon. So I thought it was fascinating to kind of integrate that into Halloween and stuff. Kind of creepy elements. So it's Amber and Flame, so Jonah has fire powers, and his daughter is Amber. Originally, Junket was supposed to be a lineage, a legacy comic, similar to that of the Phantom or stuff like that, where the actual hero role is passed down. So you can see here, Jonah's already slightly becoming more like Oscar. If we go back, you can see here he had no beard, and now he's becoming just like his dad. And now he has a daughter. So I'm still gonna use these characters. I think it's too good to not use, but I think it's a story for a different book, a different title. Here I was influenced, I think kind of evidently, by Mike Mignola. I love this kind of artwork. The sloped shoulders, the solid blacks, and the weird like white eyes. Looks really cool, really creepy. Obviously, I like doing a lot of cross hatching, and I integrated that more into the work than just solid shadows. But again, just always experiment, see what works. This one would have been an underwater themed story, and I have teased this character, this like water nymph lady. I've teased like this mermaid character already in the story as well. Here we get to see the time demons. So again, there's a little bit of marker here. Shows up from the back, but here we get Great Grandfather Time, which before I made him all cool and cute and cartoony, was literally just a solid white silhouette of a character. I thought that's kind of boring, so like, how do I spice this up? How do I make it a little bit more iconic? Here here we get to see all the, eventually in the modern comics, these are going to be like, some of them are angels, some of them are demons, but they're going to be like the seraphim and all that, different kind of ranks of guardian angels and things. I used to do a lot of fan art, but the key thing was I didn't just do fan art, I made it in my own style. So I would draw characters that I really like. For example, this is the stuff from Dragon Ball, obviously. And I just took it upon myself to draw it in my own junket art style. So I kept trying to see, how would I adapt characters? How do I turn that into my style? What would make it iconic and make it mine, right? So you can see I would always do the junket eyes, which I eventually have done more streamlined, right? More iconic. So just always, instead of just drawing things like how everyone else draws them, draw them how you like them. I actually met the voice actor for Goku, at least the American one, and he actually met Chris Sabat as well. They both stated that they liked my art because it was different. Because whenever anyone draws their characters, it's always like in the Dragon Ball art style and the Toriyama art style. And frankly, they were surprised that someone tried something different and, brand new. So they thought it was a breath of fresh air. Here we get some more character designs. Now we're in 2019. This is Kozo the Clown, or Creek, as he used to be called. Again, the design was a lot more edgy, right? All of this stuff was a little edgier. I was interested in making Junket into like a really dark kind of graphic novel. Whereas now I realized that if I'm going to do the cartoon eyes, lean into the aesthetic. If I just made it like this, it's going to be kind of generic, highly detailed for no reason. So I leaned into a more stylized approach. I don't need to draw every single stitch and little thread on the gloves. I don't think that's necessary. So I think a bolder outline eventually helped my style get better. Here we get the Insomniacs. So it consists of Kozo the Clown. This is Sackman, and this is a character named Chandor. So he's like the Sandman, basically. He puts people to sleep and stuff like that. This guy basically eats other people, and I made a design where you could wear Sackman and like transform to multiply your power, whatever, you know how it goes. Always doing different character designs and different character poses. Here we get some more of the Leiden Fallen Angel stuff. So just character studies, different hairstyles, different haircuts, him turning it even more evil or demonic as well. Oh man, this looks cool. We got Kid Goku, we got Krillin, we got I forgot his name, but just Dragon Ball, early young Dragon Ball characters. I was really into this show when I was growing up, clearly in high school and stuff. Oh, that's awesome. We get Chowder on his fart cloud Kimchi, I think, and we got Son Goku on his little flying Nimbus. That's pretty dope, actually. I like how they both kind of wear purple or blue, whatever. Again, look, in my art style, right? So this is all in my art style. I don't try to draw them like how Cartoon Network or Dragon Ball draws them. I make them look like they're in my world. How do I adapt the characters to go into my world, right? That's the key. I don't want everything to look the same, right? Nowadays, everyone has the Rick and Morty, Family Guy, Simpsons, eyes, right? The same stuff, Bob's Burgers and all that. All those cartoons kind of look exactly the same, low-key. And I just thought, man, the one major thing is the eyes. Everyone just keeps drawing these boring circles with dots in them. It's really, really ugly. I thought, how do I make it, more animated, more cartoon-like? We get to see me experimenting with even a twist on my style, sharper edges, way more detail. And we get the pupils, the irises, we get the full works of the eyes there. This is Frieza. The proportions are a little wonky because, I was learning, I was young. This is pretty cool. I forgot I even drew this. Wow. Okay, so this is, again, I am a huge fan of Cartoon Network. I think that the early 2010s and all that, Flapjack, Adventure Time, Regular Show, Chowder, Ben 10, all of that stuff, Generator Rex, that whole era of Cartoon Network became, for me, like a modern renaissance in my eyes of animation. Because literally all the people that worked on Flapjack would go on to make all of those other shows like Steven Universe and all that stuff. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So I loved the misadventures of Flapjack. So we get Captain Knuckles and we get Flapjack. As you can see, none of them have been comics so far, but I'm leaning into it. And I'm learning a lot. I'm learning about detail, I'm learning about inking and coloring. So just trying things on the page here, you know, it's beneficial. It's, you know, more proactive to do that because you're able to better integrate your skill set, right? So here we say, hey Captain, look, those pirates seem pretty tough. Do you think they've been to Candied Island? I doubt it. They seem like posers if you ask me, Flap. You know, so it's just fun, you know, a little character fan art. But again, they're stepping into my world. I'm not just illustrating them as they're supposed to be. I make them as I see fit, you know, and I get to see how I get to really push myself as an artist, and I get to stretch my style and see where the limits are, see what works, see what doesn't. Try some color. Oh man, damn, I wish I colored this back then. This is all of the characters from One Piece. Man, this is really cool. I'm actually really impressed with this. So it's, we got Luffy here, obviously. We got Frankie, we got Jinbei, we got Sanji, Nami, Zoro, Usopp, we got Chopper down here, we got I forgot the skeleton dude. We got Robin. Dude, this is awesome. We have all of them, but again, I can't emphasize this enough. It is better to lean into your own styles than to copy anyone else's. So all of these characters, instead of just drawing them like everyone else would draw them, I would draw them the way that I would want them to be, you know, designed. Design them as if I made them, as if they stepped into my world, my mind, my imagination. So I think that's actually really awesome. Here we get to see, this is one of the things Chris Sabat saw. And we got Piccolo up here because he voices both characters. And we get Vegeta, of course. Again, just super cool. And I loved using color pencil. I still do. It's my favorite form of coloring because it's the most loyal to what I have in mind. It's bright, it's poppy, you know, it's just fun. So I used to always like the retro kind of stuff. So again, just draw it in your style, man. I can't emphasize that enough. And here we go. We got the one that Goku signed, the voice actor. This is awesome. It's like, oh, come Goku, you have to win. So you see here, he's doing the Kamehameha and stuff like that. It's a little wonky on the anatomy, but it's fun, right? There are no mistakes, only happy accidents, right? So this is really cool. Just looking back at all my old stuff, I realized just how far along it actually was. So again, the Goku voice actor had literally told me that he just was so impressed by it because he only ever saw people draw it in their style rather than a different kind of style. So it was awesome meeting them at SuperCon. That's where I was able to meet the creator of Thanos as well, Jim Starlin, and he signed a couple things and stuff. Here we got one of the, I think it's first phase or whatever, Cell or second phase Cell. Big lips Cell with the freaking spiky tailed nasty thing. I thought this design was awesome, and he was just a humanoid nasty bug monster with demon thing. I love the designs. So again, how would it look like if it stepped into my palette, into my world, into my design element, right? So hyper detailed. I mean, this stuff is pretty intense. I remember my buddies said that at the time, my classmates were like, whoa, dude, I love the amount of shading and detail you do with the ink. But as I look back, since my styles changed so drastically, I think it would have been beneficial to have a bolder outline on the outside and thin lines in the inside. That way we're able to distinguish, because as you can see, the hand kind of gets lost in all the other details. So I think it would have been beneficial to kind of mix and match the brush densities, the line qualities. But again, just colored pencil really makes the ink pop, you know. Here we get to see some Junket concepts. Again, this is Applejawn and I guess a pear character. And I thought, man, if this Apple character is supposed to be like a Dragon Ball parody, well, the Goku guy needs a Frieza, right? He needs a villain to fight. Again, composition, I was learning. I would now only have this characters front and center, and there's literally so much empty space over here. I would have moved them here, so that way it would have been a perfect pyramid kind of composition. So again, instead of it being Frieza, right, because it would be Vegeta and Goku, whatever, Kakarot, it would be vegetables and a freezer. I was like, oh man, apples and pears and a chicken and a rooster. So his name is Ruza. I don't know, it was just some nonsense stuff. Me and my buddies would just make up characters for Junket. It was really more of a pipe dream rather than an actual thing I was going to turn into an idea. We get to see like a Scrappy Doo of Larry, you know, another throwaway character. We get some more unfinished designs and other ideas for a completely different book. I don't know if I'm going to make this book or just integrate some of the concepts and ideas from it into a, how do I say it, like into the Junket story. It was like a leprechaun story or something with gnomes and demons and monsters. I don't know how I feel about this concept or the story. There are examples of it as finished artwork on my website, farlookstudios.com. However, I don't know if I ever will make this comic. Again, there's just so many ideas and so many things to do that most of the unfinished stuff just never gets to see the light of day. This would have been the villain for that story as well. It was like an ink demon. This guy is, I liked him so much, his design and stuff. I junkified him, and I literally put him into Junket. He's going to be the Prince of Hell's minion, basically. His name is Wormwood. Oh man, here we get King Boo or Majin Buu or whatever. I absolutely love drawing different colored characters like this, like a pink skin with a blue tongue and all that, like the bright yellows and purples. Super fun to draw Majin Buu. And of course, again, just integrating it into my style, how he would fit in my mold. And this is actually signed by the Majin Buu voice actor. And it was really cool. He like signed it and he read out what he said in the Majin Buu voice. It was kind of cool. But yeah, it was really a treat getting to meet most of those people. Here we get to see some more Leiden, and this is the character Libidine, right? Who I think I've named the Love Queen now. I think there's a design of her on my Instagram and on the website as well. Again, Leiden, the fallen angel, hasn't appeared in Junket yet, but I do have plans to make him a proper character. Here we get to see Oscar. Again, look, sporting the his little heart underwear. And we get to see the time demons, right? The rooster was called seconds. We get the snake, I think it was called minutes or hours, and then this dog guy was called minutes. And we get great grandfather time here, looking all creepy, and the Finnegan the Fox early version. And this is supposed to be Captain Cadaver back here, Benny Badger right there. Some concept designs of just action and anatomy, simple, quick, rough sketches. This was a design for what the temple of time would look like. So there's a shattered hourglass there, there's a throne and stuff, some pyramids, some different sundials and methods of telling time, floating islands and chains. That was kind of cool. I might still kind of make it look like this, but it has changed a little bit. We get some more cartoony me leaning into the cartoon designs, and I thought, man, that's actually a lot cooler than just making it super detailed. While we get, this is future Junket, so that's not Oscar. That's supposed to be Benny Badger. That's supposed to be Captain Cadaver as an old man, like Old Man Logan or whatever. He meets, wow man, future Junket. What a detailed logo, super detailed. It's got items of all the different characters and different story moments and things. It's actually kind of fascinating. But this is the Deathless Ones. So it's this is supposed to be Cain, right? The concept of Cain and Abel. Cain is supposedly still alive and roaming the earth to this day. And I thought, man, he probably looked beat up. He's been alive for thousands and thousands of years. I just imagine all the stuff he's been through. So here we get to, he had to have survived the flood, right? So that's crazy. So I just assumed he's like an immortal or something and just suffering immortality, alive forever. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if it was like an Old Man Logan kind of story? Here we get some sketches. This is really where the true drawing takes place. You got me drawing some foreshortening, some hands, some, again, more foreshortening from different perspectives and different anatomies. Characters holding weapons, you know, biceps, triceps. This right here, we got a whole bunch of early concept designs for the 7 deadly sin characters. Right, so this guy is going to be important. The rest probably aren't, especially this ugly bastard. I don't like this.